us an update on
No comments on referees.
nothing on referees. They all do a good job. Is that what you're saying? Honest job. That's
On who?
That's how I interpret that. How about Nick? Well, what's his situation?
Nick's had a really good summer. Came back motivated after he decided to come back, and you're extremely happy with his development, with how he's come back. Is in great shape. He's winning sprints. You can tell that he's a guy who is on a mission. And whenever he's back and ready to go, I think you're going to see the guy that you saw in the first half. The other night against Georgetown. He's a guy who's an imposing guy in the paint who is attempting to block shots. He's a guy that we can throw the ball to, and we're excited to get him back whenever that time is.
When is that? Where is he at?
He's kind of day to day, I guess. Is what we're being told, and whenever he comes back, he's going to be ready and he's going to be fired up and ready to go.
So he hasn't been practicing since then.
He's day to day right now. Yeah.
Would you anticipate someone like Keon playing a little more forward if Nick came down?
I think as you can see, with this team, much like we've had in the last couple years, it's a team that is what we've tried to become positionless. Keon is one of those guys that, you can slide all over the floor. He can be in the post, he can be in the high post, he can be, as a trailer, as a guy who can get out and run on the break. He can play in a delayed break. So I think you're going to see this entire year, Keon be all over the place. He's so versatile, and that's why he was an important guy for us to get and add to this class.
Talk about your guards. You got two guards that have been here before, and of course you add in Maxie and someone. Let's talk about those guards. Is college being a guard already? Can we talk about them?
Yeah, especially early in the season. When the game is just kind of getting settled. It's always great to have multiple guards, multiple guys that can handle, multiple guys that can create, not only for themselves but for other people. And when you have Ashton, who just puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the opponent on both ends of the floor, really as a two-way player, he's a guy that as soon as you step in between the lines, he's coming at you both ways. Emmanuel quickly is playing at a different level this year, playing with extreme confidence. He's moving quicker, he's playing faster, but mainly he's playing with more confidence. And then you add in a guy like Tyrese Maxey, who's explosive, who's electric on both ends of the floor. And when you have those two guards, it allows Tyrese to kind of develop it at a certain pace, as opposed to just throwing him out there and now him having the entire kind of weight and burden of success and failure right on his shoulders. So it really is a blessing, to have those two guards there.
Quickly have a swag.
Does Quickly have a swag? Oh, geez, I don't know. I think if you ask him, yes. I don't know. From our standpoint, I don't know. We don't want to get, his head can barely fit through that door right now. So we don't want it to get any worse.
We ran a lot of high ball screens that first game. Is that just, it's early trying to work with guys, or is that something we could see more of offensively?
I think at this time of year, coach is experimenting with still a couple different things. I think you'll always hear him say he's trying to figure out who this team is, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, individually and collectively. As you look at putting combinations of guys in the backcourt, putting combinations of guys in the front court, talking even like with a guy like Keon as a flex guy, kind of going from a wing to what we would call a stretch four or four guard lineup. I think the natural thing is in our spacing is to run some ball screens. Both Nick, Nate, EJ are guys that function really well in space. So you're trying to bring them away from the basket and get them running and sliding, slipping into space on the offensive end. And that's what's good for them. And then you have such a talented backcourt with Reese, with Ashton, with Emmanuel. You want to give them space. You want to open up the floor for them to get downhill. And like I said, to be able to create for themselves, but also for others.
Is there a thrill in the recruiting part of the job?
You love recruiting. I think that's the lifeblood of what we do and what makes us great. Once they get here, I think any time that you can go through the process with a family and see them get to know you, feel their emotions, really go from interest to kind of a familiarity, and then ultimately having them decide to join you and trust you. And then when they get here, you see their young man turn into an older student athlete. I think those are the fun parts of the job, yes, and then ultimately when they leave you and they're successful, it all goes back to recruiting, and you have to go out and you've got to find the right guys for our head coach, and that are going to fit the university and fit our culture, that you then believe you can help with the blueprint that we have to make each individual successful.
Was there a story, one that maybe you didn't expect to go the way, or just one that was a really cool story that bringing one of the kids in?
I think each one of them has a unique story, and it's not kind of a cop-out. I think but it's, I think you go from, kid to kid, and you can talk about a little bit of an aha moment, from a young man like Shea, that had such a quick recruitment, but you saw him improve throughout the year, his senior year, and then as he got here, he improved throughout the season, even to, a young man like Ashton, that we recruited. Kind of things changed a little bit. He decided to maybe go in a different direction, and then it flipped back, our way, and now you're seeing him really grow up. You get to coach him for 2 years, and you're seeing him really grow up and mature, and we don't know how it's going to end or when it will end, here, but it's always good to see a young man kind of buy into the culture and the habits, and you're excited when they figure that out.
Joel, who's a guy, if you could bottle sort of his mentality and his approach to this program and what it takes here and give it to every kid that walks in here, who would that be?
I think it would be John Calipari.
Player
I think that, yeah, but I think Cal is the guy that makes this thing go.
Yeah.
He's a guy that has the blueprint, that has had the vision and works tirelessly, to put forth the vision, to create the habits. He's the guy that's built the culture. We've gone out and we've found the right guys to actually do it. But I think if you're going to bottle up, the mindset and the values, and he's the guy that makes it work. I think kind of flipping back around to, I think we've had a ton of guys, because you can go from a guy most recently, even on last year's team, PJ Washington. All right, he figured it out, maybe, and everybody's on their different path. Tyler Hero kind of came in with a different kind of swagger or mentality. PJ figured it out once he was here. Keldon Johnson came in and really had to relearn basketball. He had to relearn what is the values of winning basketball. But I think you've had a collection of guys over Cal's 10 years that really figure it out. Some do early, some do late.